Hello and welcome to episode 11. 10?
Yes, 11. No, it's 11. Yeah.
Okay. 11, question mark, of the You Can Call Me Jim podcast.
So what are we talking about today, Sean?
I'm not really too sure. Some things, there's a lot to talk about. I mean, yesterday I got like a really bad splinter and literally had to take a pin and put it under my skin to get the splinter out.
I had a few bad splinters. One I remember was in 5th grade. We went on a field trip to the Bronx Zoo.
Oh, that field trip was so epic.
Anyways, there's a really messed up wooden fence post, and my 11-year-old brain decided the best course of action was to rub my hand on that really beat up wooden fence post. Mm-hmm. And I proceeded to get a really bad splinter. So that was unfortunate, but that one wasn't the worst splinter I've had. It wasn't that hard to take out. It just bothered me the entire day, which was kind of annoying. I actually recently got a splinter which was under my fingernail and spent probably close to an hour with an X-Acto knife and a pair of tweezers in a bowl of water trying to get the splinter out, and I finally got most of it out. I don't know if I got all of it, but it hasn't gotten infected yet, so I guess that's a win.
Yes. It took me about half an hour yesterday, and literally I was able to push it around under my skin, which is but we got it out, so that's a win.
Yes. Oh, also Carson's not here right now, because you haven't noticed.
Yeah, we have a severe lack of Carson. Maybe this can be the Carsonless episode.
The Carsonless episode.
I mean, we've had an episode with literally no one in it at some point.
You're right. We did. I was there for that, except I never recorded, therefore. The people-less episode.
Yeah.
First person to find that episode wins $1 million.
Yeah, which I think that's a pretty safe bet for us because it doesn't exist.
Also, for some reason, the last episode of the podcast did really, really well.
Yeah.
So if you're new and you're you're watching this for the first time and you're random, welcome.
Yes, you help us build this epic channel.
Yes.
Which will reach 1 billion episodes by the year 3000.
Yeah. Yes, you, Steven, you watching right now. If you do not leave a comment and subscribe to this channel, I will find you.
I mean, a ton of our demographic, it seems like, from what I can tell, is in New York, so we won't have that hard of a time finding you, Stephen.
Interesting.
Also, speaking of things that don't exist, what about Australia?
Oh, look, it's Will. He's going to join the podcast.
Hello, William.
Hello.
We're talking about things that don't exist, like Australia.
And Carson.
And Carson, he doesn't exist. I think that's actually how we got on the
right
topic of things that don't exist.
Yo, how is it that we keep talking about Carson today, but he's not even here?
I know.
This is the Carsonless episode, then.
I mean, we talk about Carson a lot. Remember that time we talked about eating him?
No, I actually don't.
I
We
do.
weren't here for this, but earlier this morning we were talking about what would happen if you stacked a bunch of them on top of each other.
Bunch of Carsons?
Yeah.
How many Carsons does it take to get to the moon?
Yeah, that's
How many
what I
Carsons
said.
does it
So
take
he's
to
about-
fix a light bulb?
Well, he's about 9 feet tall, right? So
Yeah, yeah. Canonical Carson height.
David, so conservation of mass applies, as well as conservation of charge, but
What?
so if you stack a bunch
How
of
many
Carsons on
Carsons
top
does it
of
take
each
to
other,
make a battery?
you stack a bunch of Carsons on top of each other, then what would happen is they would merge together Steven Universe style.
Mega Carson.
Carson is 6 foot something. You would have a 12-foot something person.
Yes.
Wait, but does it add or does it multiply?
It adds.
Okay.
Oh, thank goodness.
Like I said, conservation of mass.
We've talked about the Cigar Man problem, but now we have the Carson combination issue.
I should
I
also
know.
mention, Carson gets a new pair of glasses depending on how many Carsons are fused.
Okay, if Carson combination issue isn't the name of the episode, I'm rioting.
I will make sure I name it that because I get to name things.
We also established that you can make some pretty messed up Carsons depending on the way you position the Carsons when you fuse them.
Oh, interesting.
What do you think would happen if two Carsons high-fived? Would their hands fuse and they'd be conjoined twins
It would be
by their arms?
It would be like a 2D version of Carson, but it's just the back on both sides.
Like the snake that has 2 heads, but
Yes.
instead of 2 heads, it's just 2 tails.
Yes.
That's
What would
that's gonna
happen
be
is
Carson.
you would have a 6-foot Carson with a 12-foot arm.
Oh, that's
Oh my
horrifying.
goodness gracious!
If someone holds the other end of his arm, you could play jump rope. Double dutch.
He would be so good at
You'd
ping
have to-
pong.
You'd have to dislocate all of your bones.
Yeah, well,
Or basketball, you could literally just
Yeah, you could totally make a 3-point dunk.
feel like Carson could make like a half-court dunk.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Carson could, like, if he did play basketball, but he plays tennis, which I guess is good because he
Carson
has
plays
giant
tennis?
limbs. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Well, now you do. Everyone go subscribe to Carson's tennis channel, which I will link in the description.
Wait, does he actually have that?
No.
Aw. Well, now he has to make one.
Yeah.
Carson has some cracked tennis gameplay.
That's awesome.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
he wastes his channel's potential on music.
Womp.
Cringe. And Skyrim mods.
Skyrim.
Skyrim mods.
You see, I only make refined and educated videos about model trains.
Yeah, everyone go
I-
subscribe to David's training Lego.
Let's go.
I
Link
don't
in the
make
description.
You'll
videos.
find me in the comments.
Yeah, he'll be in the comments too. Link in the comments.
I'll also be in the comments if you want to subscribe to a channel that just doesn't do anything.
Yes.
I will subscribe to that channel.
I will also subscribe to that channel.
So, what are we calling this episode again?
The Carson
Carson-
combination issue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you
So
think
let's-
if we like strategically combined a whole bunch of Carsons, we could make a new Earth out of Carson?
Carson planet.
Now, the thing is, if you stack a bunch of Carsons together, but you make sure one of them is touching the main Carson's hair, then basically you get Rapunzel Carson.
Okay.
That's like, depending
So
on how
wait,
many Carsons you have, that's
If
like...
you did have a planet just made out of Carson, would it still technically have like a molten center of just molten human flesh? Or how does that
Oh
work?
my God.
Would it
Molten
still-
Carson.
Would all the minerals and like everything in the bones and the blood turn into like solid
Iron
steel,
Carson.
iron, calcium, and then liquefy?
We also discussed the fact that if they're all stacked together, but one of them touches the main Carson's head, then Carson will have a freakishly long neck.
That
Oh.
is true.
They will all go into his neck.
Carsonosaurus Rex. That's a hard word to say.
Well, I mean, yeah, because you just made it up like 5 seconds ago.
But on the
Yeah.
plus side, at least he will have glasses on his neck.
That's true.
Speaking of having glasses on your neck, I gotta go.
Goodbye, Will.
Bye, Will. I wonder if Carson's like, that is weird how he's not even here yet. He's probably just gonna walk in and be like, hey guys, what are you want to talk
I don't
about?
think he's here today.
Well, I saw him this morning.
Oh, well then I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, something utterly malicious
It'll
is
be really
brewing.
funny when he watches this episode, if he ever watches this episode.
I mean, he should. He's a part of this.
He is. I wonder what we're doing today.
Me too.
Well, time to bring out the age-old question of what I ask, but I don't know what else to talk about on the podcast. Sean, what did you eat for dinner last night?
I had the same thing that I had last time you asked me this question.
That's
The same
actually funny.
exact thing. A sandwich.
That's great. Want to know what I had for dinner, Sean?
Yes,
I had
do.
Chinese food.
Wow.
Yes, it was very much underwhelming.
Do you ever think about what like Chinese people have when they're like, oh, I had American food?
Actually, it's a pretty interesting thing. In places like Japan stuff, it's kind of unique because it's very similar to so if you were to go to like a Japanese restaurant, like a restaurant in Japan, I mean, and order like American food, like the menu is gonna have a lot of things that resemble American food, but also a lot of Japanese food as well. So you might find like rice with like burger patties and stuff, which is like, we don't really eat that in America, but over there, eating just like the hamburger patties is American. Or for example, a lot of Asian cultures like Japan and Korea, so like that, they don't eat as much lettuce, they eat more cabbage, so you might find a burger with cabbage on it and stuff. So little things that like it resembles our American culture and food and stuff like that, but there's just little things about it that are kind of like unique to those cultures.
Yeah, I don't think if I went to Japan, I'd be like, oh, heck yeah, let's get some American food. I want to go back. I want like something that tastes like home.
Yeah, because most American, if you go around the world and get something like American food or American stuff, it's going to be gimmicky, kind of like an appropriation of it, which is very much similar to if you're to order Chinese food in the U.S., it's not what type of food that they eat in China, it's an appropriation of styles of food.
Yeah, I don't really think any like Japanese person that's visiting America is like, oh man, can't wait to get me some Japanese food.
Yeah. Like, if you were to go to the U.S. and order Japanese food, it's gonna be very similar to if you were to, I guess the only exception to things like, I think that for the most part in the U.S., if you're talking about getting Chinese food, you're talking about Chinese takeout, which is obviously very cheap and you've got that specific kind of profile. Whereas when you're talking about Japanese food, in the U.S. it's more like a sit-down kind of situation. You might have like a steakhouse almost type of thing. But
Yeah.
I don't know. That just has like a different kind of cultural like approach to it, I think.
Yeah. I wonder how people from Kentucky feel about Kentucky Fried Chicken.
It's probably the only thing that they're known for. I guess rifles, maybe.
I mean, you know how many people have compared the state of Kentucky to looking like a piece of Kentucky Fried Chicken?
Yes.
Like KFC does that themselves. That's something that they promote.
It's the little guy in the map with the frying pan in Kentucky. Tennessee's the frying pan, and Kentucky is the chicken. I think that's what it is, Tennessee.
What if Kentucky was a giant piece of chicken? Like, I've never been there.
One way to find out. You know, I will say this: the soil in the South is kind of more brown, and everything is kind of more brown. It almost looks deep fried.
That would explain a lot. I mean, I flew over Kentucky once, and I didn't notice any giant pieces of chicken, but I don't know. I might have just been not paying attention.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe it's like Wakanda in the Marvel universe, where they use like this giant technology to disguise it, when in reality it's just a big piece of fried chicken.
That would explain everything.
It would.
Who's gonna tell the people in Kentucky that they live on a giant piece of fried chicken?
Oh, they already know. They're sworn to secrecy from birth.
Ah. They just talked to their son, which they just birthed like 3 minutes ago. Now, son, don't tell anyone.
Yes.
But we live on a giant piece of fried chicken.
No, I think Colonel Sanders is like personally comes down and it's like gives them the decree of being a Kentucky citizen.
Ah.
I don't know. I mean, have you ever met someone from Kentucky?
No, I can't say I have.
Me neither. Maybe there's no one there.
Maybe I have and I just don't know it.
Because if someone's like, oh, I'm from Kentucky, then the conversation of the chicken starts. It's an awkward topic for them.
Yeah, and then they have to start avoiding things.
Yes.
It's never a good situation.
It's
Maybe
like,
you're from
like,
Kentucky and that's how you know all
where are
these
you
things.
from? Massachusetts? Oh, that's cool. Hold on. I messed up. Never mind.
Scratch that.
I was about to have a whole conversation with myself outlining something in detail, but I decided against it because I messed up in the first second.
Fitting.
Well, there goes that idea.
Adios. I mean, how many people live in Kentucky?
Too many?
Too many. What? Do you think, like, there's no way Kentucky has a hunger problem because you can just, like, eat the ground because the ground is chicken.
Honestly, I'm pretty sure the South does have, like, an obesity crisis.
I know Louisiana
country
has, like, an obscene amount of obesity, which is, like, really unfortunate for them.
I don't know. Honestly, though, it's hard to talk about one specific, like, thing and apply it to the entire U.S. Like, something interesting I saw is that, so the average life expectancy in the U.S. is about 78 years old, right?
Yeah.
Well, that changes dramatically where you are. In some regions, it's as high as, like, 84, and in some places in the Deep South, it's as low as, like, 63.
Yikes.
Yeah. Some areas of the Deep South are equivalent to third world countries, and I just find that crazy. Like, in the Appalachian Mountains and stuff, like, some of those places are really bad.
I wouldn't equate them to third world countries, though.
I don't know. Have you seen them?
That's true. I haven't seen a lot of things.
If you look at some of those deep Appalachian communities, it's like very different from what you expect an American society to look like.
Yeah.
It's just, I guess, the isolation from them and, like, I don't know, there's an extreme amount of poverty in that area, too.
Yeah.
I mean, even some places around here, they look pretty worn down, but it's not too bad.
Yeah, I wouldn't go as far as to call it a third world country, though.
I don't know. Hudson Falls is pretty rough. Oh, man, now you've got to edit that out.
No, I think we can say that.
Okay.
Everyone already knows we live in New York.
Sure.
I mean, remember the part about the Bronx Zoo field trip?
Oh, you're right. Well, the Bronx Zoo is, I would say, at least nationally famous.
Yeah. We'll be okay.
We'll be okay. I can't wait to have a hitman knocking on my door. It's like, I don't like what you said on the podcast.
Take back what you said about Kentucky.
Yes. No, you know what? The Kentucky state government will probably send people to take us out now that we're revealing state secrets.
I know. Do you think it's really hard to run, like, water pipes through chicken, or do you think it's easier?
It's probably pretty easy. I mean, chicken is pretty soft.
That's true. I mean, imagine, like, you have no foundation for, like, anything, because you just have to build on top of chicken. Oh, my goodness, you're right. Do you think? I imagine it like a giant drumstick. Do you think that's realistic?
It does look like a drumstick.
So, like, everything in it'd be hard to build any infrastructure on anything except for the giant bone there.
Well, it depends. How thick is the crust?
That's true.
A giant piece of fried chicken, and the crust is pretty sturdy, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like Earth's crust, except it just tastes better.
Only difference. That'd explain a lot. That makes sense.
Honestly, I think Kentucky's hiding something and we need to figure it out.
I mean,
I say
most certainly.
we raise a military coalition to invade. Second Civil War. Let's go.
But only against Kentucky?
Yes, just Kentucky.
Okay, yeah. What states do you think we could get on our side to fight Kentucky?
Definitely California. Probably like some of the other, like what other routes? Like Alabama, probably. Arkansas. I feel like Maine and New Jersey are just waiting to miss stuff. But Wisconsin's probably.
I think New Jersey
that's
would
a
get
banger.
confused and start fighting itself.
Yeah.
Also, I don't think Maine would fight Kentucky. It's too much like work, and I don't think that like the population of Maine would be okay with that.
True. I don't know. I feel like people from New York are too busy to do anything or care.
Yeah, I think the upstate New Yorkers would be too busy fighting the New York
I
City
think the
people.
upstate New York people would be okay, but I don't know. We're basically like hillbillies ourselves. I think the city are too busy to do stuff like that.
Yeah, they're too busy
Honestly,
walking
I
everywhere.
can see Oregon marching across the country to mess up some chicken.
KFC is a sin against all of the
Who
United
lives
States.
in Oregon?
I literally don't know. That'd be like asking if you know someone from Montana or Alaska.
Interesting. Yeah, some of those states are really just kind of nothing there. Like, name one city in Wyoming. And I can, but only because I'm into railroad history. If I wasn't, I wouldn't be able to.
I don't know. I tried really hard and I couldn't think of anything.
Yeah, Cheyenne is the only city in Wyoming I know.
Cheyenne?
Yes, it's spelled C-H-E-Y-E-N-N-E,
Of course it is.
I think. And the only reason I know that is because of the Union Pacific shops located in Cheyenne, Wyoming.
Have you been there?
No, I've never been to one. The farthest I've ever been was North Carolina, Outer Banks area.
Wow. The farthest I've ever been is Maine, except for that time I went to Florida, which doesn't count
Hold on,
because
hold on,
it's
hold on.
Florida.
The farthest I've ever been is Maine, except for that time I went to Florida. So the farthest you've ever been is Florida?
Yeah, but Florida doesn't really count because it's like
Okay.
in an artificial state. It's not real.
I've never been to another country.
Me neither.
I almost went to Canada one time, but it didn't happen.
It didn't happen. Just kidding, guys.
I don't know. One of these days I'll get around, but I don't know if the rest of the world is ready for that.
David's free.
Yes.
Are you going to bring your model trains?
Oh, podcast.
That's the end. Goodbye, guys.